Rolex versus Cartier, which luxury watch really holds its value? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a question that's been debated for years in the world of horology: Rolex versus Cartier, which luxury watch really holds its value? Both of these brands are icons, but they play very different roles in the luxury space. Rolex is often seen as the king of sports watches, while Cartier is the undisputed master of design, jewelry-inspired timepieces, and timeless elegance. But when it comes to value retention, which is where passion meets investment, things get very interesting. So let's break this down: brand history, design, movements, popularity, resale value, and ultimately, which one you should consider if your priority is holding value over time. Number 1. The prestige and heritage. Let's start with a quick history lesson. Rolex, founded in 1905 by Hans Wilsdorf, built its reputation on reliability, innovation, and tool watch status. Think waterproof oyster case, automatic perpetual movement, the first watches certified for deep diving and professional exploration. Rolex isn't just a watch, it's a symbol of achievement. On the other hand, Cartier, established in 1847 in Paris, began as a jewelry house before moving into watchmaking. Louis Cartier created the Santos in 1904 for aviator Alberto Santos Dumont, making it one of the very first wristwatches for men. Cartier has always leaned toward artistry, elegance, and high society appeal. They're not just about telling time, they're about making a statement of refined taste. So while Rolex screams tool and status, Cartier whispers style and legacy. Both are prestigious, but in very different ways. Number 2. The design philosophy. Rolex design is all about function-driven aesthetics. A Submariner looks like a diver. A Daytona looks like a racing chronograph. Rolex design changes are subtle, evolutionary, and timeless. When you look at a Rolex, you know it's built to last a lifetime. Cartier, however, focuses on elegance and form. The Tank, the Santos, the Ballon Bleu, these aren't tool watches, they're design icons. They've been worn by royalty, presidents, and Hollywood stars. Jacqueline Kennedy, Princess Diana, Andy Warhol, all chose Cartier because of its design-first philosophy. So here's the big difference. Rolex design equals function with prestige. Cartier design equals style with legacy. Number 3. Movements and watchmaking. When it comes to movements, Rolex invests heavily in in-house calibers. Almost every Rolex you buy today features a movement designed and manufactured by Rolex itself. Their calibers are COSC certified chronometers, meaning they're tested for accuracy and durability. Rolex movements aren't flashy, but they're rock-solid, serviceable, and built for decades of performance. Cartier, on the other hand, is a bit more complicated. While Cartier does produce some in-house movements, especially in their higher-end models like the Fine Watchmaking collection, many of their entry-level and mid-tier watches use outsourced movements, usually from ETA or Sellita. That's not necessarily bad, but it means that horologically, Cartier often doesn't stand on the same technical ground as Rolex. This distinction plays a major role in value retention. Collectors love in-house movements because they carry prestige, exclusivity, and a sense of true craftsmanship. Rolex has mastered this, Cartier is catching up, but its strength lies elsewhere. Number 4. Popularity and market demand. Now let's talk about demand, and this is where Rolex really pulls ahead. The Rolex brand has become a cultural phenomenon. You've got waitlists at authorized dealers, models like the Submariner, Daytona, and GMT-Master selling above retail in the secondary market, and demand that outstrips supply year after year. Rolex isn't just a watch, it's a currency. People see it as a safe place to park their money, and in some cases, even make a profit. Cartier, on the other hand, is popular but in a different way. Their watches, especially the Tank and Santos, have a strong following, but they don't generate the same hype in the resale market. You rarely hear about waitlists for a Cartier Tank. They're readily available, and while they hold a timeless appeal, they don't spark the frenzy of a Rolex release. Number 5. Value retention. Here's the meat of the discussion: which holds value better? Rolex is the undisputed leader in this category. Many Rolex models sell on the secondary market for equal to or above their retail price. Some models, like the stainless steel Daytona or the Submariner, can double in value depending on demand and rarity. Rolex has essentially created a market where buyers feel safe investing, knowing they can sell or trade their watch later with little to no loss. Cartier, in contrast, doesn't perform as strongly in terms of resale. The vast majority of Cartier watches depreciate once they leave the boutique. A Cartier Tank, for example, might lose 20 to 40% of its value on the secondary market. There are exceptions, rare limited editions, vintage pieces, or models tied to cultural icons, but in general, Cartier doesn't hold value the way Rolex does. So if your number one concern is protecting your money, Rolex is the safer bet. Number 6. The emotional factor. But let's not reduce watches purely to numbers. Luxury watches are also about passion, identity, and self-expression. A Cartier Tank on your wrist says you value elegance, history, and artistry. It's subtle. It's stylish. It has a story that resonates beyond market value. People who buy Cartier usually buy it for personal connection, not speculation. A Rolex, however, is a universal symbol of success. It's recognized everywhere, from boardrooms to nightclubs. It can be a conversation starter, a status marker, or simply a rugged tool watch that looks amazing with a suit or jeans. Rolex blends function and prestige in a way no other brand quite manages. So, emotionally, both brands offer something, but what you value more will depend on who you are as a collector. Final verdict. So, Rolex versus Cartier, which really holds its value? The answer is simple: Rolex dominates in terms of resale, demand, and investment potential. If your goal is to buy a watch that you can wear and later sell without losing money, or even make a profit, Rolex is the clear winner. However, that doesn't mean Cartier doesn't deserve a spot in your collection. If you want timeless design, history, and elegance, Cartier delivers like no other brand. And sometimes, buying a watch isn't about resale, it's about what speaks to you personally. So here's the takeaway: buy Rolex for value retention, buy Cartier for style and soul. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Rolex versus Cartier, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe for more luxury watch insights, and drop a comment below. Which brand do you think holds its value better, and which one would you personally buy? Until next time, keep your timepieces ticking and your style timeless.